What's going on, F1 fans? Welcome into the Man Dude podcast. I'm Man.
I'm Dude. Welcome back to America.
Today we're going to be talking about a teammate head-to-head comparison. So last week we already did a rookie review, but this week we're going to dive into every other team. We're going to retouch upon the teams with rookies in them, but yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. We've got Alpine up first. We're going in alphabetical order. So we've got one Jack Doohan, one Franco Colapinto, and one Pierre Gasly.
You're a big Pierre fan. Why don't you start off with Pierre?
Well, he scored all of Alpine's points this season.
100%.
I think it was 22.
Yep.
Jack got off to a really rough start. He got those, was it 6 races?
Yeah, he got 6 races.
Then Franco came in because Alpine needed some stability. It's wild that Franco was the stability solution.
To be fair, he was decent in his Williams showings.
Yeah, they definitely didn't let him crash the car at Alpine. That was for sure. I don't know if it was in his contract, like literally written down, but they at least had some talks to him. Like that was a top priority this season, and it showed.
You think?
Yeah, I think we would have seen a lot more pace and a few more crashes.
It's interesting too because you get the mid-season switch. You got Jack coming in, and obviously everybody kind of knew the writing was on the wall. He was going to be coming out soon, getting out of the seat, I mean. And I think a lot of people expected Franco to really outperform Jack.
They expected him to pick up where he left off at Williams, more or less.
By all measures, I don't think he really outperformed Jack.
He probably did, but the margin is so small that it questions the justifiability of the swap. But again, with the motive being stability, it's hard to put a label on what kind of instability Jack might have brought to the second half of the season, the second 3 quarters of the season.
And realistically, outperforming Jack by any measure that doesn't include points doesn't matter. I really don't think he outperformed him by any stretch. Franco definitely had a lot more hype coming into the season than coming out of the season. A lot of people were really excited about Franco. I'm sure there are some people that still are, but I mean, in comparable machinery, obviously Pierre Gasly, one of the best drivers on the grid, but got absolutely walloped.
The tough thing for both of them is going in the literal worst car of the season.
Yeah.
The Alpine was far and away the slowest for the bulk of the calendar. It's pretty incredible that Pierre got 22 points.
Almost half of them in race number 1. I think he got 6th place in Australia, and I mean, everybody was just flying off the track in that one. So, you know, pretty much from that point on, we're talking the guy got like 12 points.
It was a fully downhill experience for Alpine from that one good showing.
From race 1. So you got Pierre and Franco coming back next season, right?
Yep, that's the team next year.
Keeping the same lineup. What are your thoughts on the season as a whole, though?
I think we saw Pierre do a consistent showing in a bad car, and that's about all we got out of the team. I don't think there's much to take away from either Franco or Jack's season. Moving on to Aston Martin, we've got Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll. And these 2 drivers keep having the same question asked of them, which is when are they going to retire? It's just wild because one of them's 27.
And the other one's a rookie.
and the other one's 42. 42 in his second stint in F1, absolutely crushing it. Crushing his 27-year-old teammate who's about to be going into his 10th season.
Yep.
And just doesn't have a ton to show for it.
It's almost like sometimes you see Lance show up to a race, and that race he decided he cared.
That's a great way to put it.
Because most of the time it looks like he's just kind of going through the motions, but every once in a while there's a race and it's like, whoa, there's Lance in 6th place.
He likes that track.
Yeah,
it's like he picks and chooses.
Because for a long portion of the season, as the viewers are going to see here, Lance actually had more points than Fernando.
Fernando had a super rough start. That was a crazy start to the season.
Going back to what you were saying about both drivers always being asked when they're going to retire. What do you see from Lance going into next season? Do you think this is going to be his last year? Do you think it's going to be Fernando's last year?
I think there's a strong possibility that we do see Fernando's last season next season. I think Aston Martin has to pretty much go all in on the new regs to get one good attempt at a driver's championship next season. That's their best hope with the Honda power unit. It's a lot weighing on Honda as to how Fernando Alonso's career ends. And Lance, it's really up to Lance, it seems. And like you were saying, it's almost like he's not in it every weekend.
Right.
And if he could just show up and do it every weekend, people would stop asking about when he's going to retire. And he would just be another driver that we can all root for instead of every weekend being out-qualified by a 42-year-old.
That is an actual stat. 24 out of 24 races, Fernando out-qualified him this season.
How do you think the Aston season looked this year between both drivers?
I mean, like we just said, Lance out-qualified in every single quali session by Fernando. Fernando got off to a slow start, and Lance got a few good finishes early on, but overall, I think, Fernando was able to do more with the car, even in the races where Fernando didn't finish well. Especially the early part of the season, it felt like he DNF'd every single week. Teammate comparison here, obviously you got to give the nod to Fernando.
Two-time world champ against Daddy's money. Yeah.
Yep. But even performance-based, Lance, like we said, picks and chooses when he wants to compete, and or at least I don't want to say that as a fact,
but it feels that way.
It appears that way sometimes. What do you say we move on to Ferrari?
Let's move on to the Prince and the King.
The Prince and the King, I like it. Prince Charles. Entertaining season from Ferrari.
Couldn't have been more dramatic.
Could have been a little more dramatic, but in the same token, I think what you see from Ferrari this season, everybody kind of looks at it on the outside as, man, Ferrari really let their drivers down. But I don't view it that way.
I don't either. There's been some recent, I don't want to say headlines, but there's been some recent news to me, which was that Lewis hated the Ferrari simulator and actually used it very little. And I think that was a big detriment that we saw throughout the season, where he couldn't actually give input on car setups until they were at the track on Fridays.
Is that for sure fact?
Yeah. He just hated their simulator, didn't make the transition from Mercedes simulator to the Ferrari one, and instead of forcing himself through it, he just skipped.
That information about Lewis not using the simulator and kind of dogging the team like that really bumps Lewis down a few pegs for me in respect.
It's a little shocking.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, my respect for Lewis went down this season, not anything to do with his performance, purely based on how he handled poor performances.
He definitely had some shortcomings for Ferrari this year, and it sounds like it wasn't just on track.
I mean, you look at the data, Charles, we need to talk a little bit about him, because that guy had a heck of a season in a car that probably didn't belong where he was putting it.
Charles had one of the prettiest seasons in terms of results. Like, George brought the consistency this season. Charles had 7 fourth place finishes and 7 podiums.
That's pretty sweet.
That's
especially in that car. And that goes back to, I mean, I think everybody, when you look back on this season, nobody's really thinking about Ferrari. They're all thinking about McLaren, Mercedes, and
Red
Max. Bull. Realistically, Charles was consistently in the top 5. His average finish on the season was between 6th and 7th. He was qualifying in the top 5 or 6 every single weekend. He even had a pole position. I think Charles, drove the bolts off of that car, and
he had a couple of levels up with familiarity too. But again, back to Lewis's lack of, it seems, commitment. That's on him, that familiarity wasn't built up as rapidly as it should have been.
Going on what you said about Lewis having to acclimate to the car versus Charles being more familiar with it, the difference between a Mercedes and a Ferrari, very different engines. We also see the same transition out of Carlos to the Williams. I think there is evidence out there that a driver can acclimate much faster than Lewis did, and Lewis, I mean, he had the whole season and he never really showed up.
I think he went into this season with the mindset that it's a year to skip, because this was a season about transitioning to Ferrari. This wasn't a season about competing for a driver's championship.
Part of me wonders too if he knew this season was going to be a wash for him and he didn't put the effort in because he's thinking so much more about 2026.
And then was still disappointed in himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with him. But I think to wrap it up on Ferrari, obviously Charles gets the nod, not just because of the performance, but I think the attitude.
Charles has said, maybe not in so many words, but that 2026 is Ferrari's last chance to retain him for 2027. he's looking to leave if they don't get it together.
I don't blame him. He's proven time and time again that he's one of the best drivers on the grid, especially in one lap pace. He interestingly does lose about a place and a half on race day, whereas Lewis actually gains about half a place on race day.
That makes sense given the experience differential.
One last thing to note too, Lewis, no podiums on the season.
No podiums, first time in 17 years. So it was our first team where experience did not win out to talent.
Yes.
Next, we're going to talk about Haas, and experience definitely didn't win out to talent there.
Obviously, we talked about it in the rookie review episode. Esteban, been around for a while now. Ollie, I mean, I know we already talked about this in the rookie review episode, but Ollie definitely outperformed Esteban, and I don't think that is a small feat, and that's why he got my nod for the, who I thought was the most impressive rookie this past season. One thing to note, I can't remember if it was 5 or 6 races, but he broke the record for consecutive points finishes in a Haas. And in a season where at the start of the year, Haas they were back markers at the start of the year. And then mid-season, obviously Haas made some improvements, but Ollie drove that car to, it was 5 or 6 consecutive points finishes. So consistency, he showed that, but consistent pace. So he wasn't afraid to drive the car.
Esteban got a little bit smoked, and it could be that Oliver's just one of those talents that it happens with. He held up well when he was teammates with Checo and with Fernando. So it's, I think, more indicative of Oliver's talent than any shortcomings for Ocon, that Ocon was outperformed by a rookie this year.
Well, and the outperformed, it's, I think, a little bit more gray on these two than with a lot of the other teams we've talked about already. Because when you look at their seasons, Oliver brought the consistency, but Esteban brought the top flight ability. Every once in a while, you'd see Esteban pop off with better finishes than Ollie had. You see it in the numbers. They finished with almost the exact same amount of points, but Esteban is behind Ollie in qualifying and race finishes, but he's only barely behind him in points. So clearly he's having bigger points finishes.
Esteban used his experience to extract the maximum points out of the Haas that I think he could have. And I think that just goes to show that Ollie's ceiling of maximum points was higher.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's putting multiple great finishes together. And like you said, I don't think extracting the most that he could out of that car yet, and still getting more points.
Yeah.
Moving on to McLaren, you got the Constructors' Champions.
And another first in 17 years with their Drivers' Champion.
That's right. Lando Norris getting first, and Oscar very close behind. Third place. Most seasons the points differential would have been good enough for second, but Max had something to say about that. What are your thoughts on the teammate comparison between these guys this year?
Oh man, this is the toughest one. And to look at it from the driver experience versus talent comparison again, it looked for all the world like Oscar does have the talent benefit on that team. But experience was enough to help Lando pull it out this year. We all know Oscar got ahead for a good stint of races, but the lead was small. And Lando's consistency and that early performance in Australia where Oscar couldn't recover as well. He recovered incredible to finish in the points from that race. But that really carried Lando in the gap there and made it possible for him to make a relatively easy late season recovery.
Well, even then though, what it took for Lando to take that from Oscar, still, despite that, because Oscar finished well behind him in Australia, and then not only takes the lead, builds up a healthy enough lead that it takes Lando winning a race and Oscar getting 5th for a 15-point gap difference. And then I think it was the next week at Baku, Oscar puts it in the wall lap 1, maybe not lap 1, but very, very early in the race, gets 20th, P20. And I don't know where Lando finished, but I mean, that's an opportunity where the differential is 0 versus X. It took those 2 races for him to surpass him. And then Oscar had a string of 5th place finishes, it felt like. Oscar just wasn't able to keep the McLaren in running that 1-2 that we saw them doing for most of the season. And Lando got a little bit more juice out of it.
The track by track comparison, you see a similar trend to this season as you saw last season. And I think we're gonna probably see the end of that this year.
Less and less. I know where you're going.
Hopefully we don't see it next season, but we might still see it a little bit. And that's Oscar struggling with the tracks that are at the end of the season, especially in comparison to Lando, let alone the rest of the grid. Lando does really well at those end of season tracks, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, and those are a couple of Oscar's horror performers. I guess everybody knows Abu Dhabi really well. Yeah, fantastic season from McLaren. They didn't really keep it exciting for us. They made Red Bull do that. They kept it dramatic, but really within the team, and that was frustrating enough.
So wrapping up McLaren, I mean, obviously you kind of have to give Lando the nod because
For sure, driver's champion.
driver's champion. But I think Oscar definitely showed some mettle this season that I don't think we all. I mean, I think we all knew he had it in him.
I said at the beginning of the season, actually it was the end of last season, that this season would be Lando's last chance to beat Oscar.
So
he
you
did
don't
it.
think Lando wins another WDC with Oscar as his teammate?
Without favoritism, no.
It did go both ways, though, a few times. Lando put up much more of a fight, though, accepting team orders when he was asked to
Yeah,
move.
Oscar, take notes.
Let's move on to Mercedes.
Continuing in alphabetical order, we've got George Russell and Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah, again, another one of the teams that we touched upon in the rookie review. Kimi, it's hard to compete when you're dropped into a top-tier car. And
Alongside George Russell, Driver Association president, and master of consistency.
Yeah, most consistent driver on the grid this season.
23 points finishes, 0 DNFs.
Yep. And his one non-points finish, he got 11th due to serving a penalty where it was a drive-through penalty, right?
It was a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, at Monaco.
And
so,
he still got 11th, yeah.
so he got 11th. So, I mean, that shows you the level of consistency the guy had. George, quietly, possibly a more impressive season than some of the guys that finished ahead of him in the points.
Yes.
Absolutely remarkable that he never put it in the wall. And when you have, basically, I don't know how much Toto loves him finishing in fourth place.
I don't know how much Toto loves him at all. Definitely not as much as he wants him to.
And that's what I was leaning into there. He was asked to be driver number 1 this year, and he absolutely dunked it. He crushed it. I mean, he couldn't have been better as a role model for Kimi, first of all, but also establishing, hey, look, this is my team now.
It is his team. He put a stamp on it, and if they take that away from him, that's entirely their own undoing. But yeah, Mercedes, both of them really, really maximized their season, I think.
I do just want to say, Kimi, very, very impressive season. He had 150 points, which if you go back and look at the data, there's nobody in the last 10 seasons who's done anything close to that. There are comparable situations where guys get dropped into cars of similar capability. You look at Oscar in the McLaren, Alex in the Red Bull, and he dusts all of them. I think he definitely showed the pace that Mercedes saw in him that said, hey, let's put him in here at 18 years old. Let's skip F3, go straight to F2 and straight to F1.
Yeah, he definitely justified them putting him in a literal season early.
Yeah.
Justified it front to back.
Speaking of rookies that absolutely crushed it, do you want to move on to Racing Bulls?
Yeah, we've got one not rookie who vacated the seat after a couple races, Yuki going up to Red Bull, and then Liam came in to sit alongside Isaac. And very much experience against talent once again.
I think realistically the best way to do this comparison is to look at Liam and Isaac.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yuki's getting compared to Max. Isaac hit the ground running.
Yeah, I mean, Isaac beat him basically in every single measure. Qualifying average, finishing average, and points, obviously.
A steep hill for Liam next year to stay in F1.
So I just want to know why you think Liam had a bounce back year when he got absolutely dusted by a rookie.
I don't think he had a bounce back year. I think he had an acceptable bounce back within his time at Racing Bulls. He's at least earned the opportunity to have a full season in the same car.
If you watched last episode's rookie review, dude here said that he thought Liam had a better season than Kimi. So I'd like for you to elaborate on that.
I was impressed with Liam's drive throughout the year. He got knocked down hard at the beginning of the season. So to see him finish with any amount of confidence was good.
Better than the highest scoring rookie in more than a decade.
I mean, when you're advertised as Jesus Christ, people are going to be less impressed when you perform miracles.
Performance-wise, though.
There's no arguing.
So just easiest way to wrap it up, Isaac obviously crushed it. There's a reason he's getting promoted. Like we said, Liam probably fighting for his job next season. Hopefully not going to get beat by a rookie again.
Yeah, another rookie who's supposed to be Jesus. Liam's got to bring the consistency and the experience to a level that Lindblad's talent can't get him. Lindblad's going to be good.
That should probably wrap it up on the Racing Bulls. This probably won't be a super long one, but
No.
let's move on to Red Bull. We got to get at least 90 seconds in here.
Well, we had Max and we had Yuki.
Liam for a couple of races, and Yuki comes in and interestingly gets worse in the Red Bull throughout the season.
Yeah, it was to be expected. I mean, we all knew that car was on a knife edge.
Oh, I don't mean just got worse from going from the Racing Bull to the Red Bull. In the Red Bull, he got worse as the season went on.
Well,
you would have thought he would have acclimated a little bit.
So I have a little dude theory on why he came out so hot. His first race for Red Bull was at Suzuka, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had his engine turned up. Yeah, they gave him some more juice for Suzuka for his home race. He did great. He not stellar. I don't remember where he finished that race.
I was going to guess 9th. Yuki got 12th. That sucks.
But yeah, I think Yuki...
Do we still think he was turned up at Suzuka?
Yeah.
Regardless, got worse as the season went on, and especially when you compare that to the contrast of Max just getting better and better and better throughout the season, to the point where if you look at the last 12 races, it's like just the Max Verstappen show.
It made the season end in an exciting way.
Yeah, it was very, very fun to watch. Max, as always, doing things that, we just didn't think were possible. I remember when they started talking at one point in the season when he was back like 70 or 80 or 100 points, they were looking at it and saying, oh, Max is going to have to gain this amount of points, which basically he's going to have to win out almost every single race. And all of us were like, season's done. And then all of a sudden, there we are at Abu Dhabi, and he's got a shot.
I remember we were texting, and we
were both hopeful.
Yeah, I mean...
but realistically, neither one of us truly believed that he was going to win 6 of the last, however many races.
He needed to take 8 points a race off of McLaren.
Off of, Oscar at the time, because Oscar wasn't first.
And then it was Lando later on. But yeah, he needed to basically get 8 points on both of the McLaren drivers every weekend for the last 9 races.
At the point that we were talking about it,
Yeah.
but there was a point where that gap was larger. The fact that he did it, even though he didn't get the WDC, the fact that he did it.
I mean, Red Bull is one of the teams, and Max is absolutely one of the drivers that if there's a mathematical possibility, they're still going to be going for it.
For sure. I mean, they're going to go for it, but I don't think any of us with McLaren's dominance to that point, I don't think any one of us thought, wow,
There would be a title fight.
Yeah, exactly. I certainly didn't.
Yuki got dusted.
Yeah, got absolutely dusted.
It was a rough one to see.
No more seat for Yuki. Yeah, moving on to Sauber. We got Gabby and Nico.
Another slow car.
Yeah, another slow car. And, this is one of the rookies that didn't really outperform his teammate. Nico showing again why he's still on the grid, because I think a lot of us look at Gabby's season and say, that guy kicked butt.
Yeah, one thing Gabby did do, I think, was outperform the car. Nico did too.
And by a considerably larger margin, too.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing, too, is going into the season, I think everybody kind of looked at Nico as a qualifying specialist. Maybe because he hadn't gotten a podium before the season, maybe that was a little bit overblown, but I had heard it definitely on the F1 TV broadcast that Nico is a qualifying specialist, and Gabby outperformed him on Saturdays. Kind of surprising.
What was the qualifying head-to-head there?
In quali, Gabby barely beat him, 14.2 to 14.8 or 14.9. But I mean, close to a position a race.
How many races Gabby outqualified Nico?
Gabby barely edged him out, 12 versus 11. Not sure what happened on the other missing one there.
That is really close.
But yeah, Gabby outqualified him, but then lost 2 positions to him on race day.
That's experience.
Good season for Nico. Got on the podium for the first time ever. That was exciting.
Yep.
I don't know if everybody was as excited about it as I was. I was super excited.
I think the whole world was pretty hyped.
Yep.
That was a huge deal for Formula One as a whole. I keep looking at this in a talent versus experience sort of window, and I think talent edged out experience.
You think talent edged out experience?
I think Gabby got the better of Nico. I think that qualifying head-to-head speaks volumes.
But race head-to-head, Nico beats him by about 2 places on average and has 51 points to Gabby's 19.
That's fine.
So you still think Gabby...
I still think Gabby had a more impressive season.
So this is going back to your thing about expectations versus performance. I look at things with a blank canvas every year because realistically, that's how people's memories are in Formula One. Nobody cares what you did 2 years ago.
Nobody cares what you did last race. Yeah.
Yeah, they care about what you do right now. So I don't care about what the expectations are. I care about how did you perform. And realistically, Nico outperformed Gabby in the same machinery. That's my opinion. This might be the first disagreement for the teammate head-to-head. I think it's our first disagreement on. I
think these two are so close. I think these two are so close in terms of their season performance.
I think it's a slam dunk that it's Nico. That's the thing. Here's the thing. I think Gabby did really well, but Nico just did significantly better, especially on race day. Like that's when you get points. That's what you get paid to do.
The qualifying specialist came out ahead on race day. Not much of a qualifying specialist anymore, I guess.
Well, that's the thing. Gabby definitely
out-qualified the qualifying specialist.
Yep.
Maybe that's where my head is at.
We don't show up on these weekends to watch quali exclusively.
I do sometimes.
I mean, I get that, but that's not where people get paid. That's not how you win a WDC. I get what you're trying, what that look is for, but you need to do well on race day.
Yeah,
and Nico did significantly better on race day than Gabby. So vibes, Gabby wins on vibes.
Gabby wins on vibes.
Nicer hair, I guess. That's also not true.
That's definitely not true.
Nico has great hair. Last but definitely not least, moving on to Williams. Got Alex and Carlos. Carlos hopping into the car, displaced by Lewis Hamilton. Goes over to Williams and obviously starts off the season definitely being outperformed by Alex. Alex got off to a really hot start and I think showed, I know we're doing a teammate comparison here, but I think showed that the Williams is making moves forward.
Couldn't be a better time.
Yeah, seriously, right before 2026, what's nice is they had the CFD for a 10th or a 9th place finish all season long to work on 2026, and they were the team that transitioned to working on 2026 first. So very excited for 2026. But teammate review 2025 here. Going back to what we were saying about Lewis versus Charles. Lewis did not acclimate to the car throughout the season, and we didn't see that gap between Lewis and Charles decrease. Whereas with Carlos and Alex, you see Carlos overtake Alex.
Yep.
As the season went on and he got more used to the car, he was outperforming Alex week in and week out.
Alex was hanging in there.
Alex was hanging in there, but Carlos put that car on the podium twice.
He caught up insanely fast. And I think an Alex podium could have been in the cards with, some different luck throughout the season, but James Vowles was dead on the money that Williams was on track for a podium this year.
Yeah, got 2 of them. And one of them took a little bit more luck than the other, but both took some luck. The thing that was more amazing about Carlos's second podium was that he had the pace. If you looked lap by lap, how he was performing versus the leaders, he was putting in just as good a lap times, if not better at times, as the leaders. So, because oftentimes you think like if you see a Williams in third place that they're holding up other guys behind them. He was keeping up pace with the leaders. I think we're going to see a little bit more of the Williams up front. Obviously, biased take here. Big Williams guy, big Carlos guy. Although Alex had Carlos on points because of his consistency, especially in the early part of the year.
And the team experience.
I think Carlos gets the nod for this team.
That's another big reason that Carlos acclimated to the car a lot faster than Lewis. Carlos went into that team and immediately started building a family of engineers around him. Lewis went into Ferrari and just started complaining about the engineers around him.
Yeah, Carlos definitely went in there looking to acclimate to the team rather than make the team acclimate to him.
And he has an ability when he goes to these new teams, which he has a lot of practice with now, to really connect with his engineers and get them invested in his season so that he doesn't have to keep them invested.
Yeah, it's true. Carlos definitely everywhere he goes, they all always really like him.
Yep.
Nobody ever has anything bad to say about him. It is kind of wild that he keeps getting bounced around. It feels like he's almost viewed as a number 2 driver for top teams.
I think another aspect of it is almost a subconscious acknowledgement that his career can handle it, because he has such a strong foundation of performance and also an off-track support network in his management team that other drivers don't really have.
That's true.
You know, between his dad and his cousin Carlos, they can cope with these transitions a lot better than other drivers would be able to.
Not to make this the Carlos show, but I think it is interesting that, you know, he goes from Renault to McLaren. McLaren gets better.
That's why James wanted him.
McLaren got better as soon as he gets there. He goes to Ferrari. Ferrari gets better. They get second place in the standings. Now he comes to Williams. Williams makes a huge leap. One of the things you talk about is driver feedback for the teams, and you said that Carlos is one of the best on the grid at doing that, and I think that adds up when you look at the performance of the team when he shows up.
Yeah, he's able to give feedback without that feedback depending on the engineer that it's going to. Again, just to keep the comparison going, I think that's a transition that Lewis struggled with. I think he was probably one of the best drivers on the grid at giving feedback to Peter Bonington.
I think it's a perfectly fine comparison to keep hitting on between Carlos and Lewis, because Carlos was displaced by Lewis and then outperformed Lewis, I think most people would say.
In what I think most people would agree was a worse car, despite the Ferrari's shortcomings.
Right. Well, and I mean, he for sure didn't have a better overall, points tally or anything, but as far as outperforming the car.
You could have told me that Carlos finished with more points than Lewis, and I would have believed you.
He had like a third the points of Lewis.
That's crazy.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, let's see, 64 versus
that's just
156. How bad. So not quite. I mean, more than a third, but not half.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he had 2 podiums and Lewis had 0 is hilarious.
That's probably why it feels to me like Lewis had a worse season than he actually did.
Yeah.
He was up there, but just never on the podium.
Well, who would you say for Williams is the...
between the karting king and the smooth operator.
Yeah, who had the better 2025 season?
I think James Vowles won out.
I don't like that non-answer. I need an answer.
No, it was Carlos.
Okay.
It was
hell yeah.
Carlos. I mean,
we're still friends. No.
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you Carlos is a better driver than Alex. I'm a big Alex Albon fan.
I like Alex too. He's one of my preferred drivers on the grid for sure.
Makes Williams an easy favorite team for you.
For sure. Alex, again, another really good feedback operator, except this season.
Yeah, he and moaned a lot. Really annoying during the races to hear Alex complain.
I gotta be honest, it was really odd. It seemed like F1 TV had it out for Alex.
I think they were probably making him look worse than they needed to.
Because everybody gets into it with their engineer, but it seemed like every time Alex was upset about anything, they were like, oh, let's put that on the air.
It also felt like he was airing unfinished grievances for the public. It felt like Williams wasn't addressing things behind closed doors. And so he was putting it into the public purview.
I remember you saying that.
So that Williams would have to address things.
I think one thing I don't think we have mentioned with this is the first time that since Alex has gone to Williams that he's been under pressure.
For sure.
I mean, he's been having to contend with Logan Sargent.
I think he feels a building of pressure more so than he felt pressure this season, because it really was a team effort to build a better car. I think Carlos's podiums were very much a victory for Alex this season.
I'm sure James feels that way.
Definitely. I don't think Carlos gets 2 podiums for Williams this season without
Alex the last 3 seasons.
Exactly. And I think Alex, Carlos, James, the whole team knows that. I think Alex is very much their guy. I think Carlos is very much their guy. I think they've got an unrivaled level of stability across the teams looking ahead. And if Mercedes is the dominant power package next season, you've got a 4-team fight.
Well, you know about the loophole they found, right? Do you? You don't?
I don't know about the loophole.
Oh, Mercedes
found another loophole.
Mercedes found a loophole, and Red Bull did too.
Well, Mercedes has done it before.
They said it saves about 0.3 of a lap, 0.3 of a second a lap.
That's fantastic news.
Yeah, and that's going to be for the Ford engines, right? Is that
Yep.
who's? Yeah, so Ford and Mercedes.
Red Bull was always going to be up there somehow. Yeah, but the other 4 Mercedes teams are going to be Mercedes, McLaren, Alpine, and Williams. So Alpine could be up there with a podium car, from the back of the grid, just from their engine supplier swap.
I hope Mercedes just has the runaway best engine, because that would be really good for my interest.
I wouldn't mind a runaway engine.
It'd be interesting to see the battle between McLaren and Mercedes for first place.
I like when a season provides multiple battles. I like when there's a good disparity between a couple of engines or something like that.
Yeah, you like the battles in brackets.
I like having a defined midfield battle. Yeah.
Right. It was nice in the teens when you had basically Mercedes and then Ferrari, Red Bull fighting for second place.
Yeah, those were fun fights.
And then Haas got a fourth once.
I didn't totally love 8 years of Mercedes dominance, but
I mean, that's what happens when a new reg set comes out and somebody is dominant.
they found a trick last time. Encouraging and worrying to hear that they found a trick this time too.
Well, hey, I know we kind of got off the rails at the end there a little bit, not doing too much of a teammate head-to-head comparison there, but I hope you enjoyed the episode. That's going to be it for Man Dude F1 today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.